What's up guys, with Zamorak on the horizon, I figured now is probably a good time, if not a little bit late, for me to get ready for the Zamorak fight. The Zamorak fight is going to be Elite Dungeon 4, so in this video what I'm going to do is go over what I plan on doing to prepare myself for ED4. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of direction as well if you're wondering what you can do to actually get prepared, as Zamorak is apparently the hardest boss in the game once it does release, so we're going to need a lot of preparation. We need to get ready for this fight, especially if we are planning on trying to get kills on the first day of release. So that being said, if you find this video useful, do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, and also put your notifications on, because when Zamorak does release, I'll definitely be going live, and you guys can catch up with that too if you're interested. Anyway, let's start this video off, and let's talk about what sort of things I plan on doing personally to get ready for Zamorak. So the first thing that I would suggest everybody does, and I think you may even have to do this, it may be a hard requirement, and that is going to be getting up to date with all the new quests. Mainly just Twilight of the Gods. The reason mainly this is because you will have the requirement of Extinction and stuff anyway, so as long as you can complete Twilight of the Gods, you're going to get some benefits in Elite Dungeon 4 as well, including like damage reduction and stuff. But also, I feel like it may be a hard requirement. I'm not 100% sure on that though. One of the quests that may be worth you guys paying attention to is the Curse of the Blackstone quest, which is the quest from Elite Dungeons 1 through 3. The reason you may want to get this is if there is a bank chest in the Elite Dungeon, you may actually still need to have this quest done to get the upgraded bank chest so you can access it while in there. That could be incredibly useful, as well as drops all being able to go into the chest. So there's no confirmation that you need that for this, but it is worth definitely keeping in mind. So if you haven't done that quest, I'd get it done. You can do the Elite Dungeons in story mode, and that makes it a lot easier. Just keep that in mind too. But those are the two quests I would absolutely work on and make sure you have completed, just to be safe. Now, I don't need to tell you guys that when this fight starts, you want to have the best gear that you could possibly have. Obviously, the better gear you have, the better chance you stand. That being said, I have had quite a few people message me on Discord and ask if I should recommend that they get all their combat styles like evened out, like an average combat style for each one, just in case Zamorak is better to use one specific style, or just focus on the one combat style and make that as strong as possible. As Zamorak is meant to be the hardest boss in the game on release, I would probably suggest having one really strong combat style, because you don't want to have pretty average gear across the board when you could have one combat style really strong. This is just my opinion. As far as we can tell, every Elite Dungeon so far, you can use any combat style at all of them. There's no issues on using range, melee, or magic at all three of the initial Elite Dungeons. That doesn't mean it will be the same, but there's a good chance that you can use all three there. I don't see there being any issues with using any combat style in the Elite Dungeon 4. So that being said, if that is the case, you will be better off having one combat style incredibly strong to put yourself in the best position to take on Zamorak. Of course, at some point, one combat style will likely shine through and be a little bit better than all the other ones, but that's just usually the case for most situations, and it depends on the meta of the game as well. So it could even be your combat style, it could be another one, but as long as you put yourself in the best position to begin with, then you should be okay. Also, I will personally be using Crit Bloom armor to begin with, of course, so I'll be using magic, as I always use magic everywhere, but I will be using Crit Bloom on release because it's going to make it a little bit less punishing, meaning I can probably eat through a few mechanics, not take as much damage, but I doubt that Crit Bloom alone is going to make this boss just something that you can just take on and not really think about. I assume it's going to be difficult. I assume Crit Bloom will be helpful. So if you guys do have Crit Bloom, then it may be worth considering taking that just for the beginning bit while you get comfortable with the fight and stuff like that, just to make your life a bit easier. Of course, I'll be pairing that with Animate Dead, just in case anyone was wondering why. Next up is a perk that you probably are going to want to take advantage of. At least I am definitely going to make sure I have this before the dungeon releases, as it could help you through a lot. Zamorak, as we know, is all about demons. So having the Demon Slayer perk could absolutely prove to be very useful. So what I would suggest you guys do if you have the cash laying around and you want to be absolutely ready, what I will be doing is making sure that I have the Demon Slayer perk on one of my armor sets. Personally, at the moment, I have the Undead Slayer perk with my Elite Tectonic and my Crit Bloom. That is for ED3. However, I will be changing that now, as ED4 will probably be my new focus for the majority of the near future, and I'll be changing that over to the Demon Slayer perk. What the Demon Slayer perk does is it allows you to get an extra 7% damage dealt to all demons. This doesn't work on Krill in hard mode, and it doesn't work on the Twin Furies, to keep that in mind. So it will likely not work on Zamorak, it might not work on any of the bosses, but if it works on getting through the dungeon quicker, killing off any demon trash mobs if there is any, we don't know exactly yet, but it's just a way to theorize. Extra 7% damage is incredibly useful. That being said, the Undead Slayer perk does work on the Taraket boss in ED3, so if it does work on any of the other bosses in Elite Dungeon 4 as well, then it's definitely going to be worth having. Getting through these fights quicker means you use less food, you take less mechanics, and it's just going to make your life a bit easier as well. And obviously getting through the runs faster too, absolutely worth your time. So if we're going to mention the Demon Slayer perk, then of course I'm going to have to mention the Demon Slayer ability as well. You get this by buying or unlocking the Demon Slayer ability codex. The Demon Slayer ability codex is around about 100 mil at the moment. It will go up because of ED4. It's just going to happen, and hopefully it goes up like later on, or it doesn't go up too much, I guess, for the people who need it. And we'll see what happens when it releases. It's either going to be in high demand, like very, very high demand, or it's going to be not that useful and it won't be in that high of a demand. But the Demon Slayer ability codex does kind of what the perk does as well, except this will give you an increased 15% damage to all demons for 10.2 seconds or 17 ticks. Basically, this is going to increase your damage a freaking ton while you're using things like your Sunshine or your Death Swiftness or your Berserk rotations, meaning that you can put out a absolute ton of damage and either skip mechanics or just get through the fight quicker and just deal with things way easier than if you didn't have that extra boost of damage. For the amount of money this is, a 15% damage increase, even for a short amount of time, for the 100 odd mil that it is absolutely worth it. 100% I will be getting this. I need to get this ready, and I would suggest that if you have the money laying around and you want to be absolutely ready, this is something you want to have available to yourself. The next thing that you are going to want to be doing between now and the actual release of ED4 is going to be keeping up with the event in-game at the moment. At the moment in-game, every 2 hours, you will have a broadcast tell you that there is demons attacking a certain town in the game. It will tell you which town it is, you head over to that town, and then you kill the demons while you are there. While killing the demons, you can get your hands on slithers, which is going to be upgrading certain bits of gear in the future. We don't know exactly what gear it is, but Jagex did say existing gear, so it is something that is in the game at the moment, and I am theorizing that it's probably going to be armor, and I'm not too sure what armor exactly. Probably the God Wars Dungeon 2 ones is my guess, but there's just no way of knowing. But you want to grab these because you will use them to upgrade that gear, and it could be incredibly useful. Also, while doing this event, you'll be rewarded a Chaos Die reroll token. These are incredibly useful because they allow you to reroll your loot in Elite Dungeons 4. How good does that sound? Most of you will know what this is at this point, because if you've done the Twilight of the Gods quest, which allows you to get them, then you can also get them as a drop from the God Wars Dungeon 3 bosses as well. You want to be taking advantage of this if you can. If you have the time and you kill God Wars Dungeon 3 bosses, make sure you've done the Twilight of the Gods quest, because you get those drops. You can stack those tokens up, and also you grab them from the event as well. Make sure you do the event, get the slithers, get the tokens, because the more you have, the better it's going to be. We don't know as of yet how useful these items are going to be, so it's absolutely worth the 10 minutes it takes to go and do this event, just to grab that stuff and just put it in your bank and see what happens. It could be incredibly useful. You don't want to be missing out, so make sure you head over to this event. It has been fixed now. Thank you, Jagex. It is loads better, loads easier to do. Grab your stuff, get it done, and make sure you don't miss out. Okay, so the next thing I want to mention is going to be my preset that I have made for ED4. I still need to put my perks on my armor. I haven't unlocked those perks yet. I will probably change the Undead Slayer here for the Demon Slayer perk instead, and that's probably what the difference will be. So I'm taking full Crypt Bloom, of course, because Animate Dead is going to be incredibly useful, so that's obvious as for why I'm taking that. I'm taking Grimoire because I'm on Staff of Armadillo and I want to be able to have the most damage that I can on the bosses. Then, of course, I have my Ring of Death. This is going to be important as hell. I expect to die a lot during this. I expect it to happen. It's meant to be the hardest boss. I'm going to die. I died at the Glacier in hard mode. I died at Karapak all day, every day. So I expect to die at ED4. Next up, I am taking, of course, just the regular stuff that you would expect. The Elder Overload and the Super Prayer Renewals. You might have a combination flask for these instead. Adrenaline Potion, absolutely worth taking to every boss you go to. Vulnerability Bombs. And then I do have actually a Shield and a Defender. My Defender is my Chroming Switch as well. But at the same time, a Defender is kind of better in most situations if you don't need to rely on those defensives to the absolute max that you can. That being said, if it's a new boss, I do tend to take a Shield as well, because you get longer duration barricades, you get better resonances and that sort of thing, so it's worth keeping that in mind. I'm taking a Wem book as well, because I don't want to use the Grimoire all the time. These books will be charged when I go though, so of course that's fine. I have my 2 Essence of Finalities. One is a Gothic Staff. The reason I'm taking a Gothic Staff is 1, it's a great threshold for magic, but 2 is also going to make it so that if there's any bosses you splash on, this will help out quite a bit. This one is, of course, is my Armadil Battle Staff to go with my Staff of Armadil. And yeah, so I've got Weapon Poison as well. You could probably apply this before going into the fight, but I'm going to take a flask with me to begin with, and then I'll switch that out. My Enhanced Excalibur for the heals, Bladed Dive Switch to go with it, and then of course we do have Super Saradomin Brew Flasks and Blue Blubber Jellyfish. I'm taking these so that I can take the jellyfish and not have to take solid food. Just makes me feel a bit more confident that I've got enough food for situations that I might need. I also have the Adrenaline Urn in case there's any downtime. I don't want to lose Adrenaline, so I'll keep that and I'll keep it charged as well. Cinderbanes, all the elite dungeons, the trash mobs, you can use poison on, so I'm assuming you'll probably be able to do the same in ED4, so I'm bringing these Cinderbane gloves with me for that reason as well. So I assume you can stack the weapon poison, get a bit more extra damage out of it, and it should be pretty useful. The next thing that I want to mention is a banking preset that I will be using. So in case you can get poisoned during the dungeon, I can drink my anti-poison here before I go in. That'll give me a 12-minute buff on anti-poison. Then I've got my incense sticks and stuff that I'll be using, penance powders if I need it, and all that sort of good stuff here. I'll probably bring my weapon poison to this as well, so I can apply that before going in here. But just in case it's needed, I'll be taking it with me in the first place. But other than that, that is the preset that I'm going to be using, of course, with the perks and stuff. And then I will be also taking a Calgarian Demon with me too. I'll be taking a Calgarian Demon because I have Staff of Armadil. It's worth it. If you don't have a Staff of Armadil, you'll probably be on Ripper Demon, in which case I would change the Super Restore Flasks to Spiritual Prayer Potions, as you will get more damage out of the scrolls that way. But that's it. That is my preset, as you can see. So hopefully if you guys are thinking of things you can add to it, this will be helpful. If I think I've missed anything, let me know and I will add them to that as well. One last thing that I should mention, Insomnia, thank you for reminding me for everybody. But you could also get yourself a Demon Cluster Slayer task from Lanaka as well. And that will allow you to get the Slayer helmet buff in the dungeon too, if it does apply. Again, it may not apply to the bosses, it may, you'll have to see what it does. But it is worth getting that if you have the time to do it and you have the resources to actually get that done. Personally, I don't have the Slayer helmet stand. That's a surprise, right? But it's definitely something that you can take advantage of, as it does work for Karapak. So again, it is something that is worth thinking about. Alright, so thank you all for watching. I hope this video has helped you guys out. This is all the stuff that I plan on doing before getting started, before it comes out, and just making sure that I'm ready for the actual fight when it does happen. So hopefully it does. If it does help you out, then do leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. I just wanted to say thank you to the channel members for your extra support. Honestly, it helps out so freaking much. It is unbelievable. It's really, really appreciated. So thank you very much. Your names will have been on screen right now, of course. If anyone else is interested in joining the channel members, you do get some perks while you support the channel. Of course, you can click the join button by the subscribe button. So again, thank you very much. Other than that, thank you everybody else for watching. I appreciate you all too, and I will see you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.